Hello and welcome to another video from TOGAtech. My name's Dave. I hope you're all doing very well. In today's video we'll be taking a short flight in the Cessna 172 Skyhawk around one of my most favourite places in the Mediterranean, the island of Malta. During this flight I hope to give you a good view, a good tour of Malta and its surrounding islands, and go through a little bit about the history of Malta. Well, I hope you enjoy the flight, and let's get this bird in the air. Just organise some pushback here and get the engine started. I've been doing a lot more hands-on flying with the new version of Microsoft Flight Sim, mainly because a lot of my previous hardware for the Boeing 737 NGX doesn't appear to work with the new Flight Sim. But I'm enjoying it quite a lot. I say it's rendered very well, the scenery is excellent, the detail on the aircraft is very good, and if any of you got any suggestions of how to get various parts of my hardware working, I'm not having a lot of success with FSU IPC. I've got a MCB combo unit from VR Insight which I just cannot get to function at all. So please drop me a line if you've got any suggestions of how I can get that going. But I hope you enjoy this flight this morning. We're taking off from Malta International Airport at Luton. We'll be departing from runway 13, heading north. Sorry, correction. We'll be departing from runway 13 and then we'll do a little left hand turn, go up the coast, north up the coastline, around the island and back down, and along the way I hope to give you a little insight into the history of the island. Here we are on runway 13. Just put in a bit of flaps and away we'll go. So I first started flying to the island of Malta in the late 60s, early 70s. In those days, of course, the flight was on board a BEA Trident 2, I believe. So we'll just stay on the runway heading, and then we'll make a left-hand bank just to pick up the coastline, and we'll fly north along the coastline, while keeping it around 1,000 feet, so you get a good view. As I've said, the rendering in the new Microsoft Flight Sim is just superb. Unfortunately, more places are more detailed than other places, etc. Malta isn't very well detailed in the particular buildings and structures. But geographically, it's very accurate. Malta is actually an archipelago. It consists of 3 islands. You've got Malta, the mainland, Camino, which is a small island, and Gozo. So along this flight here, we'll fly north and we'll go past the other 2 islands, do circle back towards the airport. Malta was first inhabited during the Neolithic period, and there is actually a structure on the island of Gozo called Gigantica, which predates the Great Pyramids at Giza by at least 1,000 years. Handles so well, this Cessna. It's very smooth. Yeah, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of those people that have liked and subscribed to my channel. It's much appreciated. And if you enjoy this video, please give me a thumbs up, or if you've got any suggestions as to other flights, please leave me a comment. I'm going to try and do a series of videos based like this of my most favourite places to visit, and do some hands-on flying around here. We're just coming up to the entrance of the Grand Harbour, which plays a major part in Malta's history, which I'll go through in a little more detail further along in the flight. During the Copper and Bronze Ages, there were a big temple building phase in Malta, which you can see examples of at a town called Tarshian. Very interesting place, worth a visit. Malta has changed hands many times, probably due to its strategic location, smack in the middle of the Mediterranean. During the years 800 to 300 BC, Malta was populated by the Phoenicians and then later by the Carthaginians, which were all peaceful merchants, not invaders. So personally, I'm not a lover of this external camera view where it shows all the instruments. So if any of you have got any suggestions how to get another external view that doesn't have that, please leave it in the comments below or contact me on my Discord channel. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. I've got all my instruments showing on a second monitor using Air Manager, so I don't like to clutter up this nice picturesque view of the flight with those instruments. We're just heading north up the island here. It's not a very large island at all. Malta is approximately, I believe it's 16 miles long by 12 miles wide, but was once the most densely populated country in Europe. In 255 BC, the Romans arrived in Malta, and in particular one famous Roman, that was St. Paul. St. Paul was believed to have been shipwrecked on Malta, and during his time there, he was believed to have converted the entire population over to Christianity. The most important part of Malta's history, I believe, took place in around 1530 when the Order of the Knights Hospitallers arrived in Malta. The Knights Hospitallers were first banded together in order to safeguard the pilgrims on their way to Jerusalem, to offer them assistance and medical care. They were based in Rhodes, but unfortunately due to the invasion of the Turks under the Ottoman Empire, under the Suleiman the Magnificent, defeated and banished from Rhodes, and so they took refuge on the island of Malta. Such a lovely view. As you can see, we're just coming to the edge of the top end of the island of Malta, And in the distance there you can see the small island of Camino, which was, during my time and my visits throughout Malta, was unpopulated, but now I believe they've got some restaurants on there now. And further in the distance you can see the other island of Gozo. It's very popular with Premier League footballers apparently, all building villas on the island of Gozo. So we just start our turn here and start heading back towards the mainland. So this Cessna 172 is so gentle to fly. You can pretty much, once you've got your airspeed right, it will hold a level course without the need of any autopilot. And that's the other thing I'm not overly keen on, as you can see my mouse pointer up on the screen there. If you go onto a second monitor, or you press a function on a second monitor, everything freezes, all your controls freeze until you click back on your main monitor. Now I don't know if that's a fault with the flight sim or it's a fault with my setup. Again, if you've got any advice, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Look at that sun, that view is incredible. Love the reflection on the water. As you can see in the distance, I've got some name plates still showing. I know it does detract from the realism, but it's interesting to see who else you're flying with. This is set with live air traffic and live weather. Just going to head down the west side of the island now, because it is so different to the east side. The east side is much lower than the west side. We've got cliffs on the west side of the island, which act as a natural defence against intruders or invaders. I believe the highest point on Malta is a place called Dingley Cliffs. They also have some interesting caves there that you can visit. I'll just leave you with a view of this part of the flight along with some music, and I'll come back to you as soon as we start heading back towards the Grand Harbour. Well, here we are, just approaching the Grand Harbour again. I did cut across an active flight path, which was a bit naughty. But I just wanted to come through this part and just go through a little bit further the history of Malta. Just flying over the entrance to the Grand Harbour. In 1565, the Turks tried to invade Malta under Suleiman the Magnificent. He approached Malta with 35,000 soldiers. Malta was being defended at the time by the Knights Hospitallers with a total number of 8,500 knights. And remarkably, due to the structures and the defences of Malta, the knights prevailed. And you can see some incredible buildings, especially along the Grand Harbour. It was defended by star-shaped forts on each part of the entrance to the Grand Harbour, and fortifications around the city. The fortifications were started during 1530, but after the attempted siege in 1565, there was continued fortifications of the capital city of Malta, which was called Valletta, named after the founder Jean de Valette. After the Knights, Napoleon came to Malta, took control of Malta. He was given free passage to Malta, pretty much as the majority of the Knights were actually French. But unfortunately, as a result of his plundering of the wealth of Malta, which infuriated the Knights and the population of Malta, they joined forces with the British and forced him out of the island. The next great part in the history of Malta was the Second World War. Because of its strategic position, smack bang in the middle of the Mediterranean, and its deep natural harbour, it was a prime position for the Allies during the war, and launching air attacks and sea attacks from Malta to disrupt the supply line, the German supply line, from Sicily, Italy to the North African coast. Because of this, Malta was probably the most heavily bombed place in Europe during the Second World War. The Luftwaffe just continually bombed the island, trying to bomb it into submission so they could take possession of it and restore the supply lines to North Africa. But during that time, a young Canadian pilot joined the RAF, a George Burling, who was a flying ace at the time. He was believed to have shot down 27 enemy aircraft in just 14 days. He flew the Hurricane, and he was said to have actually changed the positions and the alignments of the guns of the Hurricane so that he could hit his targets further away. And for his courageous efforts, he was nicknamed the Falcon of Malta. Eventually Hitler gave up his campaign against Malta, and the population of Malta, for their bravery, was awarded the George Cross, which you can see on their flag today. In 1964, Malta gained its independence from Britain and then went on to become a member of the EU. Now we're almost at the end of our flight here. I'm just going to circle round to Malta VOR before heading back in to runway 13. Again, this is all hands on, no ILS. So hopefully it's not too bumpy. Here we go. Not quite butter, but not bad. Well, thanks again for watching. Hope to join you on my next one. Probably flying the Cessna 208 around France. So if you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks again. Take care. Have a great Christmas, stay safe, and I'll see you in the new year. Thanks again for watching.